Hey, good morning, everybody. We are live, as I was talking about yesterday, at the Together Again EXPO, showing off some of the things here at opening day. It's a single day event, as you know. It's been exciting this morning. A lot of people here, which is great. If you look on LinkedIn, I post a very long video, sorry, but it's worth watching, of included the mayor of Orange County who spoke, the show organizers, as well as the head of the Orange County Convention Center. Talked a lot about everything in preparation for this event. So give that a watch, and you'll actually see the audience as well as how they had people spaced out, which was awesome. It's been fun walking around a little bit and seeing not just familiar faces, but new faces, and seeing people excited to be here. Masks are being worn, which is awesome. But today I want to walk you around a little bit, and we'll do that in a little bit so you can see everything. One of the things that you won't see, and I've got pictures and video that I'll share with you later on it, is it was great when we walked into the center today, because not only do you get your temperature check, which earns you the sticker, I am cool, but once you get in, you actually go through a heat check station. And so it was pretty cool looking at the screen when you walk through, and I took some pictures and video of it, is as you've got a group of people standing there, it shows everybody's temperature as you're walking in. And if it is high, it's going to red flag them and not let them come into the show. I took, again, more pictures of the hallways and the open areas out there. There are sanitizing stations everywhere, social distancing signs everywhere. It's just being managed tremendously well. So that's been really exciting to see. But before I'm going to have Katina show you a couple things and talk a little bit, I want to show you one last thing, which seems goofy, but again, with the different levels of anxieties that people have around all this, this was super cool as part of the whole, GBAC cleaning certification, Gold Star certification and whatnot, to walk into the hall the first day, and every single exhibit and all over the place, we have these signs. And what they represent is they went through last night and again this morning, and basically went through all of the GBAC cleaning protocols, cleaned every surface, how they handled the carpets, all of that before anybody arrived. So that was another nice little piece of and sense of security when we walked in today. So I'm going to let you talk to Katina a little bit. She is here. Give you some of her thoughts and feelings when she got here yesterday, as well as today so far, and then also talk about the virtual exhibit that we have sponsored for Women in Exhibition. Since she designed that, it's a good representation of an inline virtual. Some of you have seen the island virtuals we've done, but it's a great representation of the inline virtuals that we're working on. So I'm going to take my earbuds out real quick so you can hear Katina, and there you go. Keep going.
So you can navigate around with the mouse, and on this side. So there's different activities that can happen, different links that can be included. Women in Exhibitions has a few different activities you can sign up for. You can enter into the exhibit space to see even more. So this is an example of, on your mouse pad, Kevin, how do you make it? Oh, there we go. So you can see there's different types of video displays. There's different brochures that have been embedded in the display, and different types of contact options, just to bring in the lead retrieval as much as possible. So it's just a really fun example that that shows a lot of the capabilities of virtual exhibits, and I think it's something that's going to be a really good tool for people who can't make it to shows, whether it's because they're immunocompromised or even just people who've never been to shows before. They're going to be able to start going to shows because they can attend virtually. And you get a lot more content out of it when you actually can sort of navigate through on your own. So that link works. We'll send this out so everyone can see it. But yeah, so this is a great way to get people involved.
And what booth number is it?
This is virtual booth 17. So if you're logged into the virtual trade show for Together Again, you can go to booth 17 and it'll have the link to get onto this exhibit and go through it, see what you think, see how you can navigate through. It's so much fun to have a lot of the boundaries, you know, the restrictions budget-wise on what you would normally look at as an expensive booth to build. Now you can get it for a more affordable price, and you can share it with more people. So there's just some benefits to this, and it's a good complement to live shows. So I think that we're going to have now, Kevin, are you going to take
I'm going to take some people around.
Take it around to see some other people. Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Mel, can you hear us well?
I can hear you just fine, but anytime you're talking to someone else, it's very challenging.
Hey, let's walk over here. I'm going to see, well, she is talking to someone right now, so we're going to leave Gina and we'll come back a little bit later. But I'm going to do a little bit of a walk around real quick, and I'm going to take you over to see our friends at EDPA. Mainly, I want you to have a chance to talk to Chris Griffin and Dasher. They've got some interesting things, I think, to share. In the meantime, while they're having their conversation, just give you a little sense of what's going on, people in their spaces. There's a fair amount of traffic, and like I said, the masks have been absolutely great. So now I'm going to turn it over to these two gentlemen. So you got a whole bunch of folks live from the Classic Exhibits family and network. What I really wanted you guys to do, I'm going to first say, if you have not met,
we're smiling under here.
Dasher Lowe, Chris Griffin. Dasher, maybe talk a little bit about, from a EDPA perspective, advocacy coming into this event, around this event, but also around some of the other things that are going on right now. Briefly talk a little bit about what EDPA is doing to help kind of get the industry restarted.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's really my job has changed a lot over the last 6 months, and you know, where advocacy was a key component of it, it's now, you know, the main component of it.
Sure.
So really over the last 6 months, we've been working with a lot of the other associations, helping write industry standards with IAEs, and really just you know, participating as much as we can to share the news, get as much positive news as we can. We've been working a lot with our local chapters, doing virtual events with them, and now, you know, we're here, and we're planning our own event in December.
Awesome. How did you feel personally coming in today? Like, what were some things you noticed walking into the hall, walking onto the show floor? What stood out to you?
You know, that's one of the reasons why I'm here, obviously, you know, is to just see how some of these safety standards, how they've come to life. But I mean, I guess the biggest thing is the comfort. You know, the fact that, you know, that the protocols are there. Chris and I are standing close to be on camera together, but
sure.
You know, there's signages there everywhere. The first thing, you know, walking in is it's all coming through one set of doors. Where you're getting your temps screen right away. You get your little sticker on pool to say that you know, that you passed that test. But then, you know, you've got all the protocols. Everybody's wearing masks. Everyone's staying at 6 feet apart. So, you know, the new standards are here, and they're being followed, and it makes you feel very safe.
Awesome. Mr. Griffin, talk a little bit about advocacy as well, but then being from Orange County, maybe you've got a little bit deeper knowledge on what's going on in this local area, which obviously a lot of us have seen this as a hot spot, but in some ways, as crazy as it sounds, personally, I've told people there's probably not a better place to have had this event to really force the issue of putting in the right protocols. And if you could add a little bit about what, I got a lot of questions yesterday about adding some color to the GBAC certification and kind of what's involved in that.
Hey, Kevin, and ask Chris to speak as loud as possible.
I would say a lot of the listeners that are there, I'm like you, I'm a small business owner. You know, we're 70% furloughed employees or laid off employees. The 30% that are remaining, we're all what we call our business continuity team. We're operating at reduced paychecks. We're living in the same uncertain world everybody tuning in right now is. To Dasher's point, I'm just going to take this off.
Yep.
Because Dasher and I have already hugged, and so I feel safe with him. But walking in this building, I parked out back as a local. Even the back of the house here, one point of entry, 3 8-foot draped tables with 6 people spread out doing the temperature checking. Very quick and easy, and the stickers that say "I'm cool." It's a way of you knowing everybody you're talking to has already cleared the temperature test. You walk in the door, great directional signage here, and there's other human beings on staff that are pointing and directing you. I noticed coming up the escalator and across the glass walkway into the facility, there's an audio and there's directions being talked about around announcements about the show. People were distanced as they walked across that walkway. This facility is really put on display clearly what the right protocol for facility is. I'm also told that representatives of Hyatt, Hilton, Sheraton, Wyndham are all here today. And as chains that have venues that put it on shows, they are looking at these new protocols. The food and beverage area is opening up, so the new food and beverage protocols are in place. So anyway, I am speaking with somebody from Alliance Expo who's the show organizer here. They've said they're taking this show on the road. They feel it's important to show people firsthand. If you got to go market by market, this is what it looks like, and we can do shows. So we know it's a tough slog. We know this is going to be an uneven recovery. We know our industry is on the back end of that recovery, but love the fact that so many groups have come together to really push these types of safer version shows and showing people right away what that means. To your point about the G-bag,
yes.
I know some of the questions I got today, I thought we were going to be seeing 20-foot wide aisles. The G-bag committee, which includes some of the rock star hitters from the Center for Disease and Control, have said you're fine with 10-foot, 10.5-foot wide aisles. So no need to do that, but keep in mind the 3 Ws. They still are preaching. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands regularly. That's still the best thing that we can do.
Yep.
So I think the one question that comes up is the enforcement. I'm noticing a lot of one-way aisles, but you're noticing people, like in a supermarket, maybe not necessarily paying attention to that. So I think part of what we learned from doing this event is, so how does that change? Are there going to be sort of aisle watchers or people encouraging adherence to the directional messaging? I think that might be an improvement that we see happen. But
I talked to somebody from the convention center about that yesterday, and clearly they want to have a focus on masks, right? And saw them enforce that a couple times with some people that we all know who had just taken them down to take a drink, right? And they were like right at Hawkeye on it and saying, "Hey, put your mask back on," which was great. But yeah, the aisleways, I was wondering the same thing, if they're going to maybe put some watchers out there, especially for some of the bigger shows coming up.
Yeah, the mask protocol is really, from my observation, has been very well enforced. Because I'm talking to you, I've just taken that. But really,
and that makes
everybody's
sense.
been terrific about following that. But,
how about that sign when you walked in today? I honestly think that's a big deal.
Yeah, so a huge part, EDPA did a survey. I'll call it more of a sentiment poll. It's not science, but it does give you an indication of what our members are saying. They're saying 80% of them said they would feel comfortable coming back and participating in shows. Exhibitors, even on the attendee side, if there is strong health and safety protocols in place. Clearly, some of this might even be overkill, but you're right. The theatrics of things like this, or when you see other masks being worn, or an overabundance of directional signage, you just feel safer. There's a gentleman that was just talking to us who said he feels safer in this facility than in his own town when he's going out to the supermarket.
Sure.
So clearly, we can do this. We can make our visitors feel safer. So that's the goal, and let this be the first step in improving that.
Last question. I appreciate this, guys. Last question was, did you happen to hear any of the survey results on? Because they surveyed about Together Again Expo, potentially going to another city, putting this on the road. Any idea what those results were?
I haven't heard the results of the survey, but I do. Again, the folks at Alliance Expo had mentioned 3 cities they have in mind. DC being a key one, where most of the associations are headquartered.
Sure.
That is on their list. They expect that'll be a little smaller than this type of show, but are hoping from the same cooperation from venues. I mean, Orange County Convention Center donated the space, which was amazing, which allowed Alliance Expo to give away
absolutely
10 spaces. So we donated 6 booths ourselves for anybody that just wanted to borrow some rental inventory. It's just important we get some shows under our belt.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Well, hey, personally, thank you guys both for this, but also personally and professionally, thank you for the advocacy work you guys are doing on behalf of EDPA. As a board member, it means the world because, you know, we're standing behind everything that you guys are doing. So.
Thanks, Kevin.
You bet.
Hey guys,
Take care.
See you, my
Hey,
friend.
hey, Kevin, can you hear
All
me?
right. Hey, I'm going to put my earbuds on so I can actually hear people and then take you for a walk around the hall.
Yeah, if you can use the earbuds or the microphone, it is a little challenging to hear the other people other than you. And I think you just went away again.
Are
There he
you
is.
there?
Yeah, we're
There you
there.
go.
Yeah, if you can use it as a microphone when you're talking to someone, it's a little hard to hear other people.
Okay, let me turn this around. As we walk, Mel, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. But I'm going to take you over to the entrance. I probably won't go out, but I'll take you over to the entrance and kind of see what people are seeing when they walk in right now into the show floor. But as Chris said, there is an overabundance of signage, which is great. I think that you cannot really have too much, especially this being kind of its first event of its kind. But you can see the central part of the show floor is very wide open, and it's really designed this way because this is where hopefully people can network, have meetings outside of their booth space, and have the room to do it. Right? We've already seen in our space, which is great. We love it. We've already seen in our space where we've had to take some conversations on the road, as it were, because we didn't really we don't want to have 5-6 people in the booth at one time. So this is a nice area where people can come and have conversations. So let me make my way down here.
Hey, Kevin, someone is asking if the exhibitors and attendees had to sign some kind of waiver in order to be at the show.
No, there was no waivers involved at all. Someone asked me that actually yesterday as well, not on this call, of course, but had sent me a text and asked me that same question. And no, that was not part of the protocol in order to be an exhibitor or in order to attend.
Okay.
So you can see there's a lot of 10 by 10s, and you know, it makes sense as what Chris was referring to. The Orange County Convention Center gave this space for free for this event. Therefore, what Alliance Exposition did was they gave the 10 by 10 exhibits away for free. So they're not charging for them. The drayage rates, I can't tell you off the top of my head exactly what the count is. I know that the drayage for our crate was about, I don't know, 4 times less than what I had expected. So they are definitely being mindful of the costs involved in doing this, especially as a first event. What I was referring to, if some of you weren't a part of that before, what I was referring to about the survey was Alliance Exposition did a survey out to through LinkedIn as to what cities you would like to see if they took this on the road, what cities you would like to see. And probably not going to get them all right, but DC was one of the options. Nashville was an option. I think Anaheim was an option. Vegas was an option. And there's 2 or 3 probably more. And early on, I saw Vegas was definitely the leader in the clubhouse, and then DC. So it will be interesting to see how that goes after this event, to see when they're going to do it. But I think the idea is, I talked to one of the organizers yesterday, and the idea really is to try to bring it to not a local market, but try to get them into 2 or 3 other regional markets so that other people can feel more, comfortable attending. As you can see, and I'm glad Chris pointed this out, we've got our signage on the ground, and we also have the directional signage, which I actually myself just walked against. I did not look down and see that, but that is one thing that was brought up yesterday, was about the masks, about directional traffic, and monitoring that. I can tell you on the mask side, Jen and I witnessed yesterday somebody get fairly chastised and not just chastised, but said, well, you know, if you really do want to exhibit here, then you're going to have to keep that on. And they put it on, and their boss happened to be standing there, and they were like, no, we're wearing our masks. And so it was nice to see. That is coming from the people at the Orange County Convention Center. So it's not from the show manager, that's coming from the venue. So the venue is managing that. This was the meeting space this morning. If you saw the video, they just got done with their panel session. If you look online soon, both in LinkedIn and then some other avenues, you'll see the replay of that panel event, our panel of industry experts that were talking about kind of the state of affairs and what the future is going to look like. So all of these stands that you see here, these are all sanitation stands that are all over the place for people to use. I even noticed in the bathrooms, they've got signage up about washing your hands for at least 20 seconds. I'm going to make our way kind of back towards our booth, mainly because I'm hoping that we can talk to one of the guys from Alliance Exposition to answer some questions. But Mel, has anybody else put any questions in?
Yeah, is there any cleaning going on during the event that you see?
On a one-day event, yes. They've got people going around. We've seen them around all day so far, pre-show, pre-open, as well as since it's open, that are doing cleanings of the floor, wiping down surfaces. But then if this were a multi-day event, what I talked about when, you know, what was great when we walked in and we saw that sign and they had done that cleaning overnight of the show, of the whole hall, that's something that would be happening on a 3-day event. That's going to happen every single day, either post-event or pre-open the next day, if it's a GBAC certified venue. So that's one of those requirements that they're going to be working with. So
do you have any idea what the split is between exhibitors and attendees so far? I mean, do you have a sense that there are a fair number of attendees who are not exhibitors?
oh, absolutely. I would say the lion's share of the people here are attendees, because what I have noticed is most exhibitors, our company is the same. We're fortunate in that, you know, Katina lives in North Carolina, so it was you know, an 8-hour drive or whatever to come down here. Otherwise, we probably would have just been at, you know, a couple people instead of 3. Most exhibitors have one person, or they might have 2 at the very most, depending on the size. Even a couple of the islands I noticed, I haven't really seen more than about 4 staffers in any island, and many of them have 2 or 3.
Someone's asking if the virtual exhibit portion will be available after the show. Do you know? Certainly our virtual exhibit will be available. In fact, in Design Monday this week, you'll see a link to it.
You know, one of the things I'm noticing quickly, and this is not a commercial by any stretch, so don't take it that way, is, you know, there's still a handful of folks out there that are basically taking the virtual exhibit to mean, you know, a place where they can, you know, put their information and then potentially link to their website or some, you know, some sell sheets or something like that. You know, take the opportunity to look at the Women in Exhibitions one that we did, because it's just so much more impactful for them to actually go to a booth, and there's a link to the exhibit, which is hosted on a web page, and they can actually roam around and interact with people. You can create SMS messaging and or you know, direct chat communications with people, which is so much more effective than just having sort of a blank page or a landing spot for people. It'll be interesting to me as I'm walking around to see kind of, you know, moving forward, how they, you know, obviously with masks are the first thing, and the health officials have, you know, indicated that, hey, if masks are worn, you can have, you know, conversations with people, right? You know, still want to try to monitor your distance as much as possible, but at a bare minimum, make sure that you're wearing your mask. It will be interesting, as Chris alluded to see if they try to monitor that more, as far as people's distance and walking in the one-way traffic. Let me take you over here. I'm going to actually talk to one more person and then hopefully take some more questions. But there she is right there. Now, I hope I don't lose you, but I am going to take this off and so that you can talk to her. Everybody knows Gina. I'm going to set these down. Rick, I want you to give us.
Hi, Rick. Can you
Hey,
hear
Gina.
me?
Yay,
I
nay? Okay, thumbs up, Mel. Can you hear her?
I can hear you,
Awesome.
yes.
All right, so Gina,
Yes.
some questions. First of all, welcome. It's great to be a cross aisle from one of our great partners. Talk a little bit about your experience. How'd you feel coming to the event, walking into the event for setup? Today, what was it? Were the feelings any different? Were they better? Were they confirmed? Whatever. Just talk about how you're feeling personally about this.
So I feel very comfortable. Really, the biggest change for me is having to have this on my face all
Yep.
the time, but not a huge deal. I've had some great conversations with people, and the flow has been really good. Very, very comfortable. So, yeah, no concerns.
What have you noticed? What did you notice coming in today? What stood out to you as you walked in?
So the first thing I noticed was a depository for used face masks,
Yep.
which I thought was kind of interesting. Obviously, a lot of hand sanitizers throughout the space. Very well labeled social distancing and things like that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of what I expected. So I think it's been handled really, really well.
Awesome. So for a company like Optima that also has a national customer database of distributors, there's talk of this event potentially moving to one or two other cities. Is that something that Optima would be? You think Optima is probably going to be, based on your experience today, is that something you would see beneficial?
I think so. I think it's something we have to pursue
Yep.
and be involved in, for sure. And I mean, it's just proof today that shows can go on and they can go on safely. Clearly, people are comfortable attending the shows because the attendance is really, I think, really good.
Yep.
This is fun.
Yeah. Check that out. They're all lit up.
So I think that, yeah, I mean, people are out and they're attending. There's great activity around it. So I don't know. I think game on.
And I've had a lot of people ask me this. So, and I'm not trying to leave on a sour note, but is there anything that stands out that you're thinking is a bit concerning, or that you would have liked to seen handle any better?
I can't think of anything personally. I mean, I think that if you just do all the things that we're being told to do, wear the mask, use the hand sanitizer, wash your hands, don't touch your face, those types of things, I think it's a completely safe space.
Awesome. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're back, guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Gina.
Thank you.
So Kevin, are you ready for a couple questions?
I am, and I'm going to turn the camera around. There you go.
All right.
Hit me.
Are you noticing a reluctance of attendees to enter exhibitor spaces, or are they keeping to the aisles?
People are definitely standing at the aisle. That's a great question, actually, because that was the first thing that kind of jumped out at me. And even if I look down some of these aisles right now, most of the conversations are happening in the aisle. And to be frank, I think that's something that they are going to have to address a little bit, because it creates a crowded aisle, right? And so if the aisles get too crowded, then I think that's where the width of the aisles may have to be considered. But there are people going into exhibits. But what I've appreciated so far is that you can tell people are trying to kind of ask the question, whether it's with their actions or, quite frankly, straight up with their words, like, "Hey, are you comfortable with me coming into your space?" People have been very respectful of that as this opened up today.
All right. Someone else is asking if exhibitors were limited in the type of giveaways that they could do, for example, food or other items that require touch.
I can't answer that as far as if there was limitations, to be honest. Like if anybody said you had to be limited to what that was. What I can tell you is nobody is passing out anything that resembles food or even water. So people have things that they're handing out, of course, masks or, COVID appropriate, I guess, giveaways. There's some of that, but not a ton. But I have not seen any food or beverage been passed out.
All right. So a question from Rick, and I think it's in this case the show management and the GC are the same people, but he's asking, are there any show management attendees, and have they shared any concerns so far?
Not that I've talked to, and I'm not saying this facetiously, but I was super engaged for the first hour and a half that I was here with people coming by the booth, and then I've been doing this. So I haven't had the opportunity to have those conversations. I know that there are other GCs here, and some that are exhibiting, and a lot that are just walking the show floor to kind of see how this goes and how it's being handled.
Someone, if you remember yesterday, there was a question about contact tracing. Did you get an answer from anyone from Alliance or the Orange County Convention Center about that?
I did, and there is not contact tracing being done as a planned program out of this show. There is not.
All right. I'm trying to scroll through to see if I have any other questions. I don't see any. If anybody else has any questions, please leave it, and I'll ask Kevin.
I will tell you from an exhibitor standpoint, this is why I think that the potentially having this in a couple other show venues, in the coming months will be helpful. Is at last I checked, now honestly this was last week, so and a lot's changed in the last week, but at last I checked, I want to say it was like 76% of the attendees and or exhibitors that were going to be here were from Florida or within, reasonable driving distance of Florida. So that just kind of speaks to me a little bit about, which is still great. Listen, I'm going to be frank and upfront with everybody. If anybody came into this show thinking they were going to walk out with a meaningful lead, then I think they came for the wrong reason. This is definitely more focused on how to do these events in the future so that we can get the industry rolling in a meaningful way. But definitely more regional attendance. So if we were able to have a couple more events then and they were in other cities, then we would give other people the opportunity to see what the plan, what these are going to look like moving forward.
Does the Orange County Convention Center have a food court?
They do, actually. So they have and as evidence, by the way, I want to show you, and I see if I can get this beforehand. I'm not kidding. I don't know if you can see up in that little window, but there is press here. There's national press and local press here. And there's a guy up there right now taking photographs. And anyways, I just want to point that out. But they have a food court, which is just on the other side of, flip this around, just on the other side of that big screen. There's one on the show floor. And then they actually have a separate food court, which is out in the main mezzanine. And I'm going to actually walk you guys out there so you can see the actual food is all over there. And then I believe the one that's out here is kind of more of a beverage station. So let me walk you out here, and I'll show you what the exterior looks like. Chris pointed out one thing that was key with the one way in and one way out. They are not letting anybody go out through any of these other doors. You've got one option to get out of this building. Obviously, if there's a fire, you can go and push your way out. But as far as managing the traffic, they've been super mindful of managing that.
So Matt's saying he's not seeing any flex screens as you walk around. Are you seeing any in the booth?
Absolutely. And I think maybe they're kind of hard to see. Like the Court booth that we just walked by, Court had acrylic on their reception table as an example. But Not a ton, as far as probably not as much as maybe people would expect. That's a great thing to point out. I'll take you up here to Chroma Imaging, though. They did all the graphics for the show, for Alliance for the show, and you can see they've got a great example of, not really something that's maybe what they make, but something that they wanted for their employees. Can you see that? They've got acrylic on their counter to help protect people who are behind it. So there's not a ton, but there are some.
So as you're walking around, Kevin, can you talk about what our goal was for being there in the first place?
Absolutely. So it's kind of multi-tiered, but I'll try to boil it down as much as I can, which is, some of it comes from EDPA board conversations. There's this overarching issue of how we're classified as an industry that has to be addressed. And that's one of the big motivators as to why we're here. Is it sounds silly to all of us who do this day in and day out, but when I think it's important for people to see a space like this nationally, and local representatives to see a space like this. And I think I said this yesterday as well, which is, this is clearly not the same as a concert, and it's clearly not the same as a sporting event where you're sitting side by side with people for multiple hours. That's one of them. It's all really around safety and how our industry can function in a safe way. And then here's the thing that we all know, all of you on this call, myself know, is it sounds cliche, but this is what we do. This is what our business does. We manage traffic flow through show halls so that the exhibitors, our clients, our combined end clients, get the best result and the best ROI out of their investment and their traveling to these events. So that was a big push for us, is we just wanted to be a part of, hopefully, maybe not kickstarting the industry off of this event, but at least putting some kindling on the fire and getting it started a little bit so that people can see that it can be done safely.
So what else is supposed to happen at the show today in the remaining hours?
They've got a few more speakers. I think the panels, the expert panels that were speaking before, as well as some other industry folks. It's going to be hard for you to see, but all the way in the back right now is one of the speakers right now. And all those conversations are really geared to not really this event, but really the industry and how the industry can move forward in a effective and safe way. And then the event breaks at 5 o'clock. People tear down and theoretically get out of Dodge. So I do like that. I like the fact that they made this a one-day event. And to be blunt, I think there's it decreases the risk for error, and it's a good beta. It's a good way, rather than putting on a 2 or 3 day event where ultimately you're going to have opportunities for more mistakes to be made. This was a good one. This will be a good one-day sampling of how we can do this.
So is the food court, I hate to go back to food court, is the food court in that building or external to the show hall?
Yeah, I didn't walk outside.
Okay, and that's fine.
Over here. No, I'll get over to where I'm going to walk up here so you can see it. That's a great point that I do want to show you. So the food court is in the building. They've got the seating areas barricaded. You'll see what they've done with the seats as well. Seats are all distanced. They've got acrylic guards up over the food. For a crowd this size, it's not going to be certainly as huge as some other food courts. But this is one portion of it where everybody's got their place to sit down, have a beverage, or relax. And then in the back, they've got a couple stands, and then they've got tables. And they only put enough chairs around the tables so that you can't crowd them with a whole bunch of people. But this is all the general food court. There's just little stations that people can go around and get their food and drink. Whew. I will tell you, the masks are hot. No one's gonna lie. And we've looked at several different versions of them, not just here, but even beforehand. And I have to say that the mask that I found so far that was the least hot, and I love these masks. They're not itchy or anything like that. But the masks that cause the least amount of heat on my face are actually just the blue surgical masks. Mel, were there any other questions?
I don't see any. There's some comments, but no questions. Comments for other people in the Zoom meeting to kind of read.
Okay. Anything worth mentioning?
A lot of thank yous, Kevin, for having this. I mean, people appreciate you spending the time to do this.
Absolutely. It's been great so far. And like I said, I'm just super glad that this is happening. But more than anything else, we've got a lot of industry friends and everybody on this call does, and we know a lot of the same people. And it's been great to see those that we know on the show floor taking this very, very seriously, and trying to be intentional about safety throughout the event. So wish us luck for the rest of the day, what's left of it. And I will post a ton of photos and any video that I've got, and so will Mel. And hope to share as much as possible. And do not hesitate. If you've got questions that come up today, tomorrow, next week, send them to me. And if I can connect you with certain people here, whether it's the folks from Orange County Convention that I've been able to meet, which is they've been super open and willing to talk, or the folks from Alliance who put it on, I'm happy to make those connections if you don't have them already, to get any other detailed questions answered for any of you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kevin.
You bet. Thanks, guys. Take care.